Hello there, folks, and welcome to the stream. My name is Mike D'Angelo, that Talus guy. We are going to be looking at our Tavern map, the King's Charter, one more time before we kind of close it off. I'm going to be doing some of the other stuff with this map, like the second floor, the roof, on my free time tomorrow, just because it is a variant. I don't want to spend too much time playing around with that on stream. I kind of want to discover some new techniques on my own, things like that. What we are going to do instead is kind of figure out a couple more things that we're going to place in this first floor, and then we're going to kind of wring our hands a bit, move on to the next map. So next week's map is going to be our third map in the forest zone, and we are going to be taking a look at that. And we'll go from there. I don't know if we're going to go the full hour here on making maps today. I kind of want to just take a little bit of a relax. And by that, I don't mean do nothing. I mean I want to play a game or something like that. And if you guys want, I can do that on stream as well. And I'll actually, even depending on how many viewers we have and what else we've got going on, I might even make it a situation where I let the viewership decide where we're going to go with that. So we could do the two games that I'm thinking of that are on the top of my list right now are Pikmin 4, which is already up here with me, and honestly, the room is not so hot that I feel like I'm dying up here. So I could do that. Or there's a game that I've been playing on the Xbox called Arcade Paradise, which is a fun little indie game. I've pretty much already beaten it, but at this point I'm trying to kind of achievement hunt, and I think I have like 5 or 6 achievements left to go. And for anybody who's been on the fence about that game, if you've seen it, or for those of you who've never heard of it and you just want to see something different, we can do that instead. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is jump into this a little bit. You'll notice that I did a couple of things while we were off the stream. Namely, I shifted some things around in the kitchen and I added a fireplace. I figured it doesn't really make sense for there not to be a place for someone to cook, so I made this, and what we would kind of assume is that there's some kind of chimney. I've seen other people do chimneys on their maps. I don't know if I'm doing the fireplace right, so before I go live with this tomorrow or delay it till Friday, one way or another, it'll be out this week, I might see what the best way to do a chimney is. It might be something where like this needs to be out a little bit, and then there's like some stonework that you put in place here. It might even go over top of the wood paneling. And then it should, I would assume, show up on other parts of the map. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. And we're going to start with the rest of the kitchen. So what I want to do is we're going to put out some more plates, because I want to put a big old hunk of chicken on here. So that our chef extraordinaire can do something with that. It ain't gonna be that big. And I'm not gonna do it straight up and down because that looks kind of silly. So we'll do that. Let's see if we can find... We'll do some smaller plates. Do 25. Maybe do kind of like that. So he's got like a serving plate full of stuff. And let's see if we can go back to the farm, because I feel like they had some veggies and stuff like that we could use. We've got onions and I like how their rotten onions and stuff like that is just white. Let's see, we got some cucumbers. We're going to do some vegetables. Oh. Go back to that one more time. I wonder if there's like a pot that I can use for soup or something like that. Got the carrot. It's not exactly the kind of carrot I would have wanted. Their chicken kind of looks like a yam. I was very close to picking up that chicken. Let's see. We got a bucket. It's a milk bucket. I want to see if there's a cooking pot. So let's go to everything. We've got flower pots. We've got milk jugs. We've got a cauldron, which could kind of do it. A green pot. Pots and pans. You know what? I like this one. So what we'll do... put it there. And I'm going to use that top brush. Shrink that down a little bit. We're actually just going to use a color. So use like this little color here. We're going to mess with the opacity. And then let me draw that in real quick. Put my Parabo glove on. That way I don't leave any smears on my monitor or anything like that. So again, as long as you don't lift up your pen, you shouldn't run into too many problems there. And then let's see what it looks like when we do a extra little layer on the side. And let's see, can we do kind of like an onion in there and then paint over the onion? Oh, yeah, it's already kind of there, so that is fine. Let's move it over here. We'll shrink it down a little bit. Make it look like there's stuff in there. So we've got that. We've got... throw a tomato in there. It'll be a nice round shape. And we've got one more thing. Yeah, maybe we won't. I don't really like anything else. We'll put another onion. It's a different kind of shape. There you go. So you can kind of see there's stuff in there, especially as you zoom out. There's some stew. Let's put a bowl up there instead of a plate, and we'll leave that empty. The idea is the stew's not ready yet. And we'll keep to the white. This this color bowl kind of reminds me of ones that I had growing up. So, and let's do one other thing in here just to give it a little bit more of a feeling. What else do we got? Unlit candles, stuff like. We do know that we need to do some more candle stuff, so I will do that. Actually, I just noticed the trophy head. Throw that there. Adds a little bit of character. Actually, I might push that back a little bit. Looks like it's firmly embedded in the wall now. We'll save because 41 changes is a decent amount. I saw bread. I'm going to do another plate with bread. So we'll actually lose a little bit of that symmetry. And again, I feel like in certain cases there's some symmetry. In others, it's, you know, you're going to have your bartender just kind of like, hey, I'm busy as heck right now. I'm not going to pay attention. Let's go back in here real quick. Look for one more plate that we can do. I want to see if there's a plate that we can use that's... I don't really like the silver. And you can kind of tell that's got a shine to it even if it's like even if I paint it. But let's give it a try real quick. Let's see if I can make this look a little bit different than how it looks now. So we're going to bring it out, shrink it down a smidge. And let's go to the color. And let's mess with the contrast a little bit. It kind of looks like it disappears when you do it that way. So That's 100. That's 80. I don't actually really notice too much, but that kind of looks a little bit drearier. And if I do more saturation, it looks a little bit, say, a little bit aged. And I wonder if we can mess with the hue a little bit to give it more of a brass look than silver. That's okay. Alright. All we're doing that for is to cover it with bread. Not Brad. Not that there's anything wrong with him. We're going to make it sliced bread. Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, he could do that. He could come to that side. That's fine. And we'll get one more knife in there. And that kind of covers up that side too. Makes that look nice. Alright, so we're done with that for now. Let's save again, just because if I don't, I'll lose track of things. And then we're going to, once and for all, try and figure out these bedrooms. I've got a couple of cabinets that I was going to throw into some of these rooms. We've got foot lockers by all the beds, so that's fine. I'll just put these two guys right next to each other. We'll put two of these in this room just to make it look a little different. One there. And one over here. And let's figure out other ways to spruce that up. Let's see if we have any chairs that we like in the tavern. We've got this little couch with a pillow. Do here. I don't want every room to feel exactly the same, so what we're going to do is kind of play with a few things, see what we like. Let's see. I just noticed the chopped logs, so I'm going to put them piled up here. That way, when the chef needs some, we can find more. We'll put some in the basement too, if I can remember, and that'll be when he runs out, because it's not like he can go out back and chop a tree. He's in the middle of a nice area here. The bench is a little bit too long. At that point, it's like 7 feet. You know what? I'm okay with it. These ones out here, I kind of wanted to be like 2 butts. These ones can be 3 butts if they need to be. Alrighty. Once again, if we need to, we'll go and get some. So here for the ASMR. So what we're gonna do is find a nice place to put our butts. But it's not here. It's not in the tavern, weirdly enough. These chairs are nice, but they're too nice. And I think it's the same problem that we've run into before. The Gothic Horror ones are a little too Gothic Horror. Steampunk one looks a little too cushy. Let's see. Let's see if instead of chair we can do seat. Just looking for anything that's tagged chair. See if we got any luckier than we did. And it doesn't look like it, but got broken stuff. Yeah, too darn mushed up. Got the little stool. Do a rocking chair in each of these areas. Maybe not all of them. That one's got that couch. So we'll do this one again, kind of facing there. Maybe we'll do like a chair-side table. Let's go back to the tavern and see what this is tagged at. So we've got couches as a tag. I don't like that you can't hover over it and just type it, but let's do couches. So we've got a couple of options, but not really too much. The castle one looks a little too fancy. I'll tell you what, let's do one of these chaise lounges. Put this here by the window with the idea that if there were an elf here, this might be the room that the tavern keeper would offer to them. And change it to be a greener color like that because I like that better. But as you'll see, we ended up losing some of the color there. I have no doubts that eventually there's going to be a way for them to say, like, hey, I'm ready to change the hue of the stamp, but not all of it. Just the greens I want to change the color of. It'll be a little bit of a light Photoshop kind of feel to it there. All right, we know we're going to do little tables. Don't need couches anymore. Go to the tavern again. Got the little tables that we had before. This little bedside table is probably the way that we'll do it. We'll throw a table here, table here. I don't want it to be perfect every time. And this one, we're going to say that the table is on the left side, because we got the chase over on the other side. And we'll put one more table over here. Specifically because I want there to be a book. So we got these books here in the wizard set. And if we've got green down below, Rihanna, what do you think? Do we go red or blue in that room up above? Pardon me for a second. I'm going to mute myself so I can cough. Blue! A unanimous effort. Alright, so I'm going to real quick look at the size of that. That is 1/3 of a foot, roughly. We can check that. So, no, 1/3 of 5 feet, I should say. Let's do some math. That is over 1.5 feet tall, so that book has got to get sized down. Now it's like 1.25 feet. That's still kind of big. We'll say that this person was reading by candlelight. So they left the book there overnight. Let's go and find those unlit candles. Nothing too fancy. They don't have plates for the candles to go on or anything. And then let's go and get some lanterns. Do they have anything besides candles in the tavern set? Any lights that we can use? We got lit candles, but that's not really what I want to do in this case. So we are going to, in fact, get some lanterns from other sets. And yet, I don't like any of them. Well, you know what? Yeah. There's definitely other lanterns that I've seen before. Let's see if there's a sconce that we can use. To the hashtags. Got torches. I feel like I've used this from the castle before, and it looks alright. Let's try one of these out. And I'm going to change the hue. Nope, changes the light color too. That's alright. Here too. Actually, what I'm going to do, because we're kind of assuming that this is daylight at this point, we'll make these ones unlit. And then I'll do a version of the map where these are not unlit. They will, in fact, be litty. This room definitely needs a couple of lanterns on account of it don't have no windows there. And that's by design. And we want the performers to be able to see, and more importantly, we want the patrons to be able to see the performers. One more lamp right up there. And now the fun part is going to be whether or not I remember it. Switch that over one. Nice middle of the road kind of fit. Let's see if they have a street lamp. I actually kind of like the idea of that. They don't really give you a lot to work with, do they? Let's see if they have something in watercolor that I could use. Got it in regional. I've got this one that's desert themed. I don't hate it, but you can definitely see that it doesn't feel quite the way that it should. Let's see what happens if we mess with the height of that a little bit. It kind of loses something. I can't believe that they don't have anything that we can use there. I mean, I believe it. Don't tell them I say that. Hi there, Jill. I mean, worst case scenario, I feel like this light here works pretty well. got the lanterns from the graveyard that I don't like as much because I feel like this is fancier. And this is supposed to be the fancy tavern. Yep, we're going to go that route. We're going to do the fancy Fey lantern, the shamrock light. And we will use the unlit version. Bring it down to 30 because that's the number that we're working with. So I am making a big old tavern map. So this is a tavern called the King's Charter. When we played D&D with our group before, this was the tavern that everybody kind of went to for some rumors and stuff like that. But when I moved away from Dungini, which was the stuff that I used before, I really lost the original map. So this is a much better version of it. I think before we had a much smaller little stage area over here. We had, I think this was it. Like it terminated right here, and then there was like a way to get to rooms up here. So this has expanded phenomenally, and yeah, I'm happy with it so far. Put the little shamrock light there. Matt is making frothed tequila. That, I don't know how that sounds. I don't actually think that I've ever drank tequila on purpose. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with tequila. I just have never done it. I'm going to put one more of these lanterns further up on the road. And one of the other things that I'm going to have to do that I just noticed was, we're actually going to put it up here. So that does the same thing that we did there, where we kind of have it terminating at the corner of one of these guys. I think we need to throw some stuff in these other houses too, otherwise they just look blank and sad, like me. Let's see. So these are not supposed to be houses. They're supposed to be kind of like storage areas, probably for the tavern, maybe for some of the citizens on, this side of the map over here. So what we'll do is Tikiki. So if we do containers, it would help if I spelled it correctly. We always do like the crates. I want to try and see if we can do something a little different. So we'll do this box here. I'm going to make these boxes bigger. And I just saw this little sack of grain that we can use. We're going to use a couple of these. We're going to shrink these ones down a little bit. Go back to our happy 30. Put that there. Another one over here, different kind of shape. And whatever this one is, we're going to throw that down over here. Kind of pushed up against. I don't want to have... It almost looks like that's tied up, but that could be like potatoes or something like that. I don't like the idea of the empty one. Well, whatever. I like it after all. There was a night where tequila was introduced at one of my parties with the assumption I wouldn't be able to handle it. I was one of the 2 people who didn't ruin my apartment with puke. I guess it's good. I am a triple second lime kind of guy, and that's like once a year at that. Move that layer down so it kind of looks like it folded over into that box. And then we will put 1 crate in here just because I want to put a little bit more. That's one of the ones from the core. Shrink that one down a little bit. And then we're going to throw some more boxes in here. I don't want any of them to be empty. That what we'll do is we'll actually stack one on top of there. See if the player is paying any attention. Players is... In theory, you could say that that's, you know, like if they're playing a morally gray version of the game, you could have it so that they are able to find some good stuff in that chest. I don't envy you, Jill. Not one bit. More containers. I feel like the wine barrel is not the right place for that. I'll throw a chestnut basket on one of these barrels. I will try and mess with the hue here just to see if we get something that's a little bit more palatable. That looks a little better, and then maybe we can mess with the saturation a little bit. There we go. That looks like it matches up with the other guys we have a little bit. That was the only one in that set. Kind of does what we were doing in the in here. We got one more house that we have to do things with. Now, this is actually a house. So what we're going to do is figure out something that we can do in here that's not for storage. I mean, it probably is for storage, but not for like industrial or commercial storage or anything like that. So let's go to the farmstead, get rid of the containers tag. A boot. A dress mannequin. I wonder if that can be kind of like a fun little Easter egg. If you want, you can do something weird with this. If you're the player and you're in the well, it's a little bit of a meta moment if something like that happens. So we might change that back, but I was thinking you could have some weird thing that kind of draws the player's eye to that. But yeah, there's no real way to make that feel the right way, I don't think. I'm going to go into the Versali-Virai map again real quick, just to see if there's something that pops out at me that speaks to me that I want to try and do. So bear with me while that loads. In the meantime, we'll hit save here. Bring this over for you. So we know that this is going to be a house, but it really doesn't tell too much to me there. There is one other place for me to look. If I go to our Versali-Virai map and we look at the points of interest, we might be able to see here a little better what it looks like. So we've got these little designs over here that don't really mean too much to me. I mean, this close to the tavern, you think about like how it is with hotels in our modern day. You know, you've got hotels that are usually around important places. So it might be that one of these houses over there is actually a tailor's or something like that. So maybe what we could do is... I actually like that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the mannequin thing again. These are going to be mannequins that are in this person's storage. Again, if you're a player, you might say, all right, this looks a little strange, and it might kind of get you to go over there. It shouldn't. You shouldn't be metagaming if you can avoid it, but we'll do a wedding dress. we'll do a regular dress mannequin over here. But the idea is that most of these are storage. And let's see if there's something else that we can get to kind of allude to this fabric style, textile based kind of situation. Cloth. Got drapes. Got clothes from the tavern. I might be able to play with that. Let me see if I can do a table again. I feel like that's... What do you guys think? Is that a table or is that just a tablecloth? We could do crepe storage, but if we do crepe storage, it's going to be to the east where you guys found the crepe shop last time. So for reference... That's the table. If we did this and laid it on top, doesn't really... I feel like we could just as easily do one or the other. And if we feel that way, we might be able to do that. But I feel like that's too fancy. So what do you guys think? I am going to poo-poo idea number 3, the runner. But do we want to do something with like a nice tablecloth over top of the table? And again, we probably won't put it over the table. We'll just probably put it in there. Or do we want to do... We're not doing the table with the runner. It's too fancy in there for what amounts to storage. If that was out there for people to see, we might do it. But if it was... but in the case that we're seeing now, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for something that fancy to be in a place where people wouldn't see. We're not doing it, Kev. So, either the table or the tablecloth one. Tablecloth doesn't give table. Okay. So, with that in mind, we'll just go to the table. And we'll change the color so it's not so striking. And mess with the saturation a little bit. That actually looks really nice. And we'll go back to those clothes. I think 20 is a nice one here. I am not going to randomize the layout of that. So we're kind of treating this shop like a modern day tailor. And the idea is someone comes in here, they are here to get their attire cleaned or like that. You know, this place does it all. They do a little bit of, you know, like new dress shopping. They'll tailor your clothes, and then if you need something cleaned, you know, you just went through the Lustran wilderness and you need some help, they'll be able to help you with that. Let's mess with the saturation a little bit. That changes the color a little bit. Do we like kind of like this purple color? And while we're deciding on that, we'll do another shirt as well. Well, you know what? We'll do pants. We'll mess with the hue there too. Make more of a leather pants kind of thing. I feel like that's a nice way to tie into that. The only problem is very likely the map when it goes to printful is going to end up getting smushed out of there a bit. We're going to lose some stuff. So with that in mind, we're going to build this out a little bit. So the problem with what we do with Printful is we do end up losing the kind of like this last square. It kind of cuts in half. So what we're doing now is being a little bit forward thinking and making sure that that doesn't happen. I think we use this darker color here. Oh, it would help if my opacity was all the way up. And it would also help if I was doing that on the correct layer. Am I not doing it on the correct layer? There we go. I feel like that doesn't quite match. So let's go to like an 85. There we go. Does it? This is the last question I have for you guys. Does it look like these two match, or do I need to go a little bit higher with my opacity? You know what? It's probably not going to matter because we're going to move some stuff, and it's going to be a little bit more hidden. So there we go. All right. I think that is going to wrap us up for this part of our map making. We're just going to get a little bit into the next map, which is going to be our forest zone, one north of where we originally started. But before I jump over to that, I am going to hop over to our sponsor real quick. So bear with me for 1 second. And now, a word from our sponsors. Dan Rendell's debut, The Last Shadar, The Tribulations of Eloria, Book 1, certainly has some influences from some of the classic fantasies you know. It's a little bit like Chronicles of Narnia meets Lord of the Rings, but it has some modern sensibilities too. That makes for an honest and interesting experience throughout the adventure as you follow the lead character into a new world where he learns that he may be the key to its salvation. What starts off with a touch of whimsy grows to epic scope in this wonderful new fantasy. Check out our promo for The Last Shadar, The Tribulations of Eloria, Book 1, on the Tellest website. From what you guys just heard, that sponsor spot didn't sound like it was cut off or anything, right? I had a little bit of trouble with it earlier in the week, but it looked like it went off okay just now. Okay, we're going to grab the forest entrance. Excellent. Thank you. So we're going to copy this, clone this, and call it Forest Entrance 1 North, and then I'll find an actual name for it when I get a feel for what the map is going to actually be. We'll see that it's going to end up all the way at the top here, and we're going to actually move that to my maps. And it'll be up here now instead. What we're going to do is for the next 15 minutes or so, we'll putz around in this map. I am going to go to my Battlemaps folder on my desktop, and I am going to get our kind of plan picture, and I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll figure out what we're doing from there. I tried to do something that felt a little bit more in line with... we've been so busy in a lot of the maps that we've been working on, I just wanted to do something a little bit relaxing. So I'm going to bring this over. We're going to export it once we have like a good feeling for it, and then we'll start to design our map. What we're going to try and do is make it so that this kind of connects the right way. You should see when I boot up Photoshop, there is going to be a little indiscretion that we're going to have to fix in the future. We're not going to fix it today, but I'll bring your attention to it so you can see there's a problem with a previous map that we did. So when you first glance at this map, it doesn't look too bad. There's nothing too crazy that's going on. But one of the things is, if you zoom in, this was the first map that we ever did a sequel to. And you'll see that doesn't quite match up. So I'm definitely going to have to change that. In theory, you could do something right here in Photoshop, but I am going to bring it to Inkarnate where I can get a little bit more clean with it. We're most likely going to change the bottom map, so we'll do down here, and probably a little bit here. I feel like most of these other spots aren't too jarring. It really was just like these 3 spots that need to be cleaned up a bit. So what we'll do is, this is going to be the new map that we're looking at. Really? So, as always, what I try and do is kind of picture what I'm going to be doing with 4 points of interest on an outdoor map. I feel like that gives it kind of like that Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom feeling, where there's not so much going on that every map feels jam-packed. I want the outdoors to feel outdoorsy. I want it to feel like there's things that you can find if you're looking, but not everything just jumps right out at you. Yeah, you should have certain things that kind of, appear a little bit more, apparent, but I didn't want that in all these cases. So what I'm going to show you now is we've got everything over on this side is the heavily forested area of this region. So we've got kind of like the darker green color here. We'll bring that over to here as well. A lot of what's nice about that is we'll already have some of that built out for us. And then over here on the left side is going to be more of this kind of like light grass green that we have down here. What we're going to have to do is, you'll see when I was starting out, I ended everything without like actually having too much crossover. So there's not too much that I have to do there, but we do have this tree over here that needs to kind of be recreated. So we'll keep that tree there. And actually what we'll do is, when we're working in Inkarnate, we'll actually just take that whole tree. What did I just do? We'll take that whole tree and just move it down here and have it falling off the bottom of the map. So that'll be a nice thing that we can do there. And then our 4 points of interest that I was thinking about was, they've got some kind of like standing stones that look a little bit like Stonehenge. And what I'm going to do is kind of set them up and make it so that if you touch them, I mean, you're not going to see this on the map or anything like that, but if you touch them with a sword or a weapon, or maybe even your hands, they kind of make noise. I thought that would make for like a cool puzzle effect or something like that. We've got a hollow stump in the top right corner on... I wanted to add depth to the forest. So far, there really hasn't been a lot of depth. It's very flat land. So up here, we're going to start to see a little bit of depth. The road begins to turn to the right, so we'll see that depth kind of proceed through to the northeast version of the map. Over here on the left, we're going to have a giant flower that, for all intents and purposes, could do whatever the GM wants. I kind of think that it would be fun if maybe it's got like an Allura Un inside it or something, and then up here we've got a tree that has like a little statue in front of it. Maybe a statue, but definitely like a pot or something that you could leave an offering at. So what we're going to do from here is grab that area here. Actually, I might even be able to just crop it. See if the crop plays nice. Not nice enough. Zoom it in just a smidge more so that I can get as close to everything as I need. And one of the things that you can do if you really need to is you can paint the background of this white. So like I could throw a white color in back of it. I should be okay enough where when I bring this in as a stamp, it doesn't cause a lot of problems. So So we're going to save a copy of this. We're going to make it a ping so that we can see through it while we're kind of directing it. And it is not super hot up here, so what I'm going to do is give you viewers the option to dictate what my next option is going to be. I could either go downstairs and play Arcade Paradise, or I could stay up here and I could play Pikmin 4. We'll stop this stream, and then I'll bring up the other one, and we'll probably play that for about an hour. You can let me know how you feel about that. So the first thing we're going to do is bring this down, and eventually we're going to have to bring the other map up and see if that does what we want it to. We want to make sure that it leans in real nice. We'll keep these. We're not going to have the campfire because I feel like that's a little reductive to have the camp more than once. Well, Matt, depending on what you're doing, when you're doing it, I might still be playing Pikmin by the time you get back. So those mushrooms, they're on the background layer, so you're not going to see anything change there. We're going to kind of crunch up these bushes because we could use them somewhere too. We don't usually see too many of the bushes on the inside of the forest anywhere else, so we might do a little bit of that there. While we're working on that, let's do... I don't want a big tree anymore. The big tree was kind of like a presence that we could have there. We'll get rid of those. Bring in our other stamp real quick. So we're going to upload. Choose our file. Go to our battle maps. Go to our planning. And now when we use this stamp, we should be able to zoom it in to the size that we need. So eventually what we'll be doing is removing that. But at least here, we have a good idea of where we're drawing and what we're drawing. So let's move some trees around. You'll notice that I am being a little bit clever about where I'm putting things. I don't think that we're going to go too far north of here anytime soon. But eventually we very well might. We might go to the we might make it a 4x4 instead of a 3x3 map. So right now we have these kind of like yellowy bushes. I'm going to try and make it so that there's like a little bit more lushness on the inside. We are going to change where the road is and everything like that, but at least for now, we can play with coloring a little bit. Let's see if we like that. That color looks really nice with those trees. So we'll just grab the 3181 was the color that kind of matched really nice. 3181. Throw this down here. We know that we're not going to use any water features or anything. So let me lock the forest zone, and that way I can't grab it accidentally. But we'll get rid of this stuff down here. We don't know that we're going to need the wagon anymore. Let's see. We'll throw that there. And got a bush like that. I feel like that's a different color that we can use, and we can throw these guys along with it. I don't know if it'll let me do all of them together, so we'll have to grab them one at a time. 3181. I am going to leave this yellow one out, but maybe we'll put it a little bit outside of the border, and that'll kind of be like our reference to that. I think this is our apple tree, but I can't remember if I actually put those peaches on myself. I sure did. Or peaches, apples, whatever the heck they are. So we are going to keep them, just because I think it's a nice little reference to the original map. We are going to shift the way that it faces, though. Right there. Do my other viewers agree that we should do Pikmin, or do we want to do something different? Peaches, 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 peaches. I love you. Throw some of these around because these look nice in the area. Since I touched one, it should give me a couple other ones. So I'll throw that under there, like that right there. One or two of them up here. And you know what? We've got a lot of rocks on the outside on the other map. Let's throw a rock in here as well. I'll move this up a layer so it looks like the rock is kind of being ingested by that. I don't want it to look super like a circle. We're definitely going to be adding some other things to give it a little bit more presence. Just a bush hanging out on its own. Alright, Pikmin it sounds like it be. I'll get these other two bushes. We're going to put that bush over here. Can't always be buddies, guys. Ooh. And since I really haven't gotten anything new, let's real quick before I leave this map, we'll see if we can grab a stump that we like. I think we're going to grab this guy, and we're going to try that top brush again and see if we got anything we like. So if we go to the marker, and we go to top, and we go to color instead, let's see what happens when we mess with the opacity and sort of draw over this. Do you want a chocolate milk now or after the next stream? You know what? I will, since we are cutting over to another stream, let's. I'm going to stop this one and rename the thing so that if anybody else specifically wants to watch Pikmin, it shows up in their feeds and everything. So we'll do it that way. I'll stop. It'll be a brief intermission, and then I will be coming back, and we'll get into it, and then I'll have a refreshing chocolate milk. You know who likes chocolate milk? Just me and Mike Pence. Isn't that wonderful? I would love a chalky milk, by the way. All right, and then what we're going to do real quick before we leave this stump, I kind of want to see, everything feels like the shadows on the bottom right, so we're going to put a little bit more darkness up here, since we're looking at the inside of the stump. We're kind of implying that the shadow would be coming through here, so what we can actually do is, I mean, by the time we do anything crazy with it, it's going to look better. I might throw like a pouch or something in there. Hi there, Vigaboffin. I don't know if you arrived just in time for me to say we're gonna wrap up this, and I'm actually going to be playing a game in the stream in a moment or two. I don't know if that affects your decision to stay or not. I apologize. We just wrapped up the Tavern map that I was working on, and we were kind of getting prepped for this. So I'll since you are just recently arrived to the channel, to the best of my knowledge, I will tell you kind of what we were doing. So this is a sequel map to a map that I made before, one south of here. I do all my maps the same sizes, so they kind of link up in a nice way. And I had already kind of done the planning part of, what I was doing for the new map that we're working on. So you can see there's kind of like this overlay that's going to show where things are going to go. I did half of this map already, and then either Tuesday next week or maybe even off the stream, and I'll just kind of show everybody what I do next time. Oh, very nice. We'll have to trade information because I'm always on the lookout for artists and collaborators and things like that. Who knows when it comes down to it, it might be a situation where I need like a celebrity map designer for one of my projects or something like that. So yeah, here I was just trying to put together a couple of points of interest that the players could come and find. Clearly I haven't done really any of it yet. I have to kind of mess with the background layers, move the road over. I have to add some depth up here and things like that. But that is the idea of what we're going to try and aim for. And we're just actually going to go over to play Pikmin in a couple of minutes. I'm going to go on like an intermission where it's going to look like I close the stream, but I will be right back. So do you have any questions or anything before I hop off for a moment, Vega? Alrighty, I am going to real quick prep to go. So I'm going to switch over to the closing the show. Oh, you know what? Just because these are going to be two different streams, give me 1 second. I'm going to go to intermission and open up the file that I need. Let me save this. I'll be right back. I do believe it's time to wrap up the show. So, folks, I wanted to thank you for watching my stream today. On the screen now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellust and That's Entertainment out in the wild. To find anything out about the Tellust Fantasy Universe, you can go to Tellust.com. For the battle maps that my brother and I create, you can go to Patreon.com/Tellust. To see my streams live like you just did, you can be sure to check me out on Twitch.tv/ThatTellustGuy. To see all the streams I've ever strummed from maps and talking Tellust, you can check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/@worldoftellust. We don't have any of the video game content released on YouTube yet or on our website, but eventually it is going to be on thatentertains.com and that youtube.com/@that'sentertainmentgames. And to find any of our awesome merchandise, including high-quality mouse pads, handcrafted magic wands, battle maps, posters, and more, you can head over to our shop at etsy.com/shop/Tellust. So I am going to real quick dump this over to the until next time. Next time is going to be 5 minutes from now. It's just going to be Pikmin instead of map making. So Vega, I usually do my maps from like 7 to 8 most days. Sometimes we go a little long, like yesterday we went long. I just wanted to do something a little bit different today, so we are going to be playing a game after this. So I'm going to real quick swap over to that until next time, and then I will see you in a few minutes.